At this point, if I get a new machine, it's gonna have to go in the refrigerator. Let's get started. And welcome to Crafting with Delonda. It's me again, Delonda, and thank you so much for joining me today. In today's tutorial, I am unboxing the WeCreate Pro. This is a 45-watt diode laser. This is my fourth WeCreate, and I'm going to go ahead and tell you up front that I love it. It is a lot bigger than the WeCreate Vision that I already have. And it's supposed to be more powerful, so we are going to check it out. I did already test this with some acrylic that I purchased from Amazon, but we will get into that later on in the video. At the end of this video, if you find it helpful, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Now, without further ado, let's get this unboxed and see what all came in the package, and then I will go through testing some materials, and then I'll give you my thoughts about who this is perfect for, and I'll share the specs at the end of the video. Let's get started. So what I'm doing right here is just taking it out of the box, or trying to take it out of the box, reading the packaging. Make sure that once you get yours out of the box, that you save all of your packaging materials, every single thing, the foam and the box. Once you take everything out of the box, you should have a package that looks like this that was in the bottom of the box. You should also have this tray that will catch all of the debris that falls when you're cutting. You should have some practice wood. This one is for camera calibration. And then you should have the two laser beds. And then, of course, the machine. Everything that you need that goes with the machine is inside. So let's start to see what all came with the machine. I'm super excited about this. So inside this box, there are a lot of different blanks to try out. This one is a bag of electroplated steel name tag pendants. There is a bag of stainless steel credit card bottle openers. There's a bag of leather patches. There's a bag of circular patches, also leather. There's a dual layer silicone watch band, 2 watch bands inside. Slate coasters. There's a dual layer leather valet tray. Acrylic plexiglass. Dual layer ABS plastic. And dual layer PU leather. That's what's in this container, this box right here. So this box is where the magic happens. Now, inside of the machine, you're going to find several pieces of foam. Some of them are easy to remove and some of them are not. WeCreate does a fantastic job of packaging the materials, so they are super, super snug. So you're going to get the typical test pieces of wood. You're going to get a box that contains your tools and your supplies. I did have a hard time getting this out. I had to go around my table multiple times to lower the table, raise the table just to get this out. Now, this is the box that has the air assist, and I was over the moon with excitement that the Rotary Pro attachment comes standard with the WeCreate Pro. That is very, very exciting. Okay, and in this box, this has all of the other materials. So I'm just going to wiggle them out of the box the best I can. Now that I have those 2 boxes removed, I did have a hard time getting this foam out, but just take your time, remove the pieces that are easy first, and then just start to work with removing the other pieces of foam. You're not going to hurt anything by removing the foam. I went, around my table once again, just to kind of get it out of the box. But it's packaged like that to make sure that your laser head is not damaged in any way. Once you remove all of the foam. Remember, you're keeping this with your box just in case you have to send the machine back for any reason. I think I took out about 5 or 6 pieces of foam to make sure that every single thing was removed before it was time to get started with setting up the hardware. Now, according to the user manual, after you remove, you get the package out of the box, and the next thing you're supposed to do is inspect it for any damage. I don't see any damage on mine. I have looked all the way around the front and the back. It's packaged very, very tightly. And so I removed all the foam. Now it does say to remove the transport guard screws next, but actually I'm going to go ahead and insert the tray that goes at the bottom. So this is what the tray looks like. And let's see. You'll know where the bottom is because this should actually flip out like that. So you just insert this under the bottom like that. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is remove the transport guard screws. So these 3 screws here, and then there are 3 over here on this side. The WeCreate does come with all the tools you need to remove the screws. Now I'm going to turn the machine around and start to do the connections that go in the back. All right, we're at the back of the machine, and I honestly feel like I should be able to do this without a manual at this point. First input is for the air assist. It does come with 2 parts. The first part has 2 prongs that go in and connect directly to the back of the machine. You'll see the 2 prongs. You just line them up with the input that goes there in the back. I'll insert that. And then the other part of the air assist is the actual cable. You'll notice what that cable looks like because it has a blue connection piece on the end of it. That will connect to the side of the air assist. Insert the piece that has the blue ring on it to the air assist, and then just put that down next to your machine. You'll see that there are 4 black little suction pieces on the bottom. Insert the other end into the air assist input. The next thing I did was insert the USB cord, and then I moved on to the actual power cord. Next, insert the power cord into the back of the machine, and then insert the other end of the power cord into the box. And then I just left mine on top of the machine for now. Is that infamous mini wrench. You're just going to use that to loosen the bolts on the back of the machine. I put mine on top just so I can keep track of them. And then you're going to use the mini wrench again when it's time to replace the bolts and put them back on the machine. Now you're going to grab the exhaust hose connector, and what I really should have done was remove that clamp, the exhaust hose clamp, but I didn't. So I'm putting those bolts back in place and just tightening them up. I'm eventually going to use the mini wrench again, but I'm using my fingers to tighten them up just so they can be kept in place. Here, I'm just adding the Wi-Fi antenna, and I can move it out of place when I get ready to add the exhaust hose. I've removed the exhaust clamp and I just put it around the hose, and now I'm going to do my best to just get the clamp and the hose put back onto the exhaust hose connector and get it tightened up. I did not have that little clamp in a good place, So when it was time to tighten those bolts back up, I had to kind of make some adjustments. So just be careful with this part right here. Now my WeCreate Pro is not going to be kept right here, but I wanted to show you the setup of the smoke purifier because I've had this for a while and I haven't used it yet. But I'm going to vent the hose to this smoke purifier right here. So I might as well show you what that connection looks like. I'm going to go ahead and get this set up for the first time while I'm doing the recording of the WeCreate Pro. Setup of the smoke purifier is really simple. You're just going to take that pipe sleeve and put it right there on the top, and then I'm going to add a hose clamp to the other end of the hose and just attach it to the top of the smoke purifier. Now I'm going to quickly turn the machine back around. And I really didn't think this through because not only did I have to turn it around, but I also needed to move the smoke purifier to the other side of the table, but it's fine. All right, we got it all turned around, still not plugged in, but close your ears if you don't like ASMR because I'm going to remove the plastic covering. All right, now it looks great. Everything looks really good. Now we are going to power it on and get started with the software portion of the tutorial. So this concludes the hardware portion. Ooh. So excited. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm in the WeCreate Make It software, and because I already have so many of the WeCreate machines, I'm really just adding a new machine. So what I would do is go to New Project, and then I would go up here to my WeCreate, and I would click on Add. And right here where it says Device List, I will go to Vision Pro on USB, and it says Vision Pro device connection successful. You can see there's nothing in the machine. I mean, that is 10 times easier than I thought it would be. It's amazing. I'm excited. Okay, so in order to connect my Vision Pro to the Wi-Fi, I would have to go to settings over here, and then I would go over here to USB and go to Wi-Fi settings, and then I would have to enter my password and everything. But please know, when you're in the software, the only way to connect to the Wi-Fi is to connect via USB first. Okay, so I'm not going to show that part on the screen. Oh, I also want you to know that I keep my units in inches. So you might have the option to have yours in millimeters, but I keep mine in inches, but this is where you would make any changes like that. Okay, so I'll make those changes and then I'll come back so we can do a couple of test projects. The first thing I'm going to do in the software is go over here to the left panel, and I will click on the T for text. And once I click in the actual canvas, I'll get the word hello. That's the default word. I'll double click on the word hello and then type my name. Now, when I type my name, you'll see it first as a line engrave. That's what a line engrave looks like. The letters are not filled in. I'm going to change it to a fill engrave so the letters will be filled in, and then I will resize the text just to make it a little bit bigger. Now this is the default font. I'm not going to use this font. I'll come up to the top and I'll select a different font, one of the fonts that I have already installed on my computer that is not included with this software. Now I'm going to resize my name, and I am going to make sure that my name is selected, and I am going to choose the option to weld the text so it all stays together. After I have the text resized exactly how I want it, the next thing I'm going to do is go over here to the top panel and click on the option to add an offset, and I'm changing the size of the offset to 0.09, and then I'll click confirm. Now by default, the offset goes to line engrave. However, I did change my offset to cut. So when you look at the layers panel right there on the left, you'll see that the offset is set to cut and the fill engrave is the orange layer. So you see a red layer and you see an orange layer. Now let's look at my settings because I have not established them yet. If I click on my name, I can look and see that the material that I'm planning to use is 3mm basswood, and that is correct. However, I have not made any changes to the settings just yet. So right now I can look and I want my power to be set at 100 and I want the speed to be set at right at about 453. Remember, the slower your machine goes, the darker the engraving will be. I'm selecting my name. I want to group the cut and the engrave so it all stays together. I'm going to click autofocus, and autofocus is the same thing as auto measure when you're using the WeCreate Vista. After the autofocus is complete, I press start, and then I made sure to do a framing. A framing is kind of like a print preview. It lets you know where the laser is planning to do any of the cutting or engraving. And after I finished that, I pressed the start button, and then I went over to the front of the machine to see how fast this would go. To the front of the machine and press the button because the wood is already inside, and then I watch to see the magic happen. So this is how my name looked after it was completely cut out. I love it. I think it was cut with precision, speed, and accuracy. It looks great. This is just 3mm basswood. The next material I tried was the dual layer ABS plastic. There was a sheet that came with the machine that is silver on one side and black on the other side. And I did remove the plastic before inserting the sheet into the machine. If you can't tell by now, I'm completely obsessed with my name. So I added my name, just the same file that I used with the wood, and I put the plastic sheet or the acrylic sheet on top of the wood sheet, and I used the settings of a power of 100 and speed of 453. I went to the front of the machine and pressed start, and let's watch the magic happen. Here is a close-up of how it looks. If I had to do this over again, I would increase the line density because you can clearly see the lines in the letters of my name, but I still think it's pretty and I love it. Last thing I wanted to try with the WeCreate Pro was this acrylic that I purchased from Amazon. So I went into the WeCreate Make It software. I did select plastic acrylic red 3mm because I wanted to use these settings as a starting point. And you're going to have to do that also when you're testing out different materials. So I did see the option to have a power of 100 and a speed of 453, but the acrylic that I'm using is very thick, and I wanted to be sure that I would get a nice engrave and as well as a nice cut. So I did adjust the settings. I changed the power to 100 and I put the speed on 2, and then I turned on enhanced cutting. From my understanding, with the enhanced cutting, it would cut around the material twice instead of once. So my final settings were power of 100, speed of 2, enhanced cutting. Now let's go to the front of the machine and watch the magic happen. Now let's take a closer look at it. This is how it looks in the front. There's the back. It still has the paper on it. It is rough. It did cut nicely, but it does look rough. I'm not even really sure about how to smooth it out. I'm not, maybe sandpaper. So this is with the back removed, that backing removed. This is what it looks like on the back, but it does still look really rough, but I'm proud of the way it cut. The WeCreate Pro is supposed to be an upgrade from the WeCreate 40-watt diode laser. So this one is 45 watts. I don't have a 40 watt to compare it to. I only can compare it to my 20 watt or my 10 watt. Most of you know I love the 10 watt Vista very much. I think I've used the Vista more than the Vision, but I love the Vision just as much. But from what I can tell, the advantages of this machine is that it has a bigger work area inside. So it has a workspace of 19.7 inches in width and 12.6 inches in height. It also comes with the Rotary Pro attachment, and it comes with the 2-watt infrared laser head. So that's an added bonus already. It does seem fast. It does seem very powerful. This is acrylic that I purchased from Amazon, and it seems to be pretty thick. It did cut through it nicely, and it didn't take long. Now, I know that the fume extractor, the previous fume extractor, did not have a good reputation. However, I will say that I do believe that this smoke purifier is going to have an excellent reputation. I don't have any fumes in my craft room, and I only had this on the lowest setting. So when you turn the power on this smoke purifier, you can press the power button multiple times to increase the setting, but I had it on the lowest setting, and there are no fumes in my craft room whatsoever. I would feel safe even having my dog up here during the process. I didn't bring him up here because I wasn't sure about that. There's not much else. I think the setup was fast. You will have to upgrade to the latest software, which is the 2.0 version of the software to use this one. The price point on this one is fair. I will leave my affiliate link below this video if you're interested in getting this one. Who would I say this one is for? I would say the 45 watt is probably for an experienced crafter or someone who already has a WeCreate and they want to add an additional machine to their craft room. It's probably even good for someone who is familiar with doing a lot of woodworking because of the capability of cutting 25 millimeter of soft wood. I will have a video coming out soon using the Rotary Pro attachment with this machine. I didn't want the video to be too long. And then I will have a follow-up video using the infrared 2-watt laser head. If you did find this helpful, please remember to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell for notifications because I do upload new content every single week. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.